Hello. Danielle Rubio is here with us today. And her social media handle is at I am Danielle Rubio. And she is a somatic trauma practitioner, an embodiment and a yoga instructor and meditation teacher. Her expertise is in guiding women somatically, which means in the body, to release stored stress so they experience greater ease and empowerment in their life. Danielle, I'm so happy you're here. These are all women who are beginning their wellness journey and are here with us looking for a little support, ideas on how they can take control of their health in maybe less than traditional ways, maybe paired with traditional ways. I just want people to be exposed to and learn more about ways that they can communicate within themselves and learn to listen to their bodies and give their bodies what we need so much, especially in this day and age. So with that, welcome. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I love spreading this awareness, particularly for women. I work specifically with women, so this feels right up my alley. So thanks for having me. I started my own healing journey, seeking journey, searching for my complete wellness experience pretty young. So I was 17 when I went into my first yoga class, and I can only describe that feeling. It felt like home when I went, and I have a journalism degree, and I moved to Thailand right after I got my journalism degree to study with a National Geographic writer. And wow, long story short, a bunch of drama happened within Thailand during that time, and it ended my internship. And I kind of went through almost like a quarter life crisis or something kind of moment. And I met a woman, another American woman in my apartment in Thailand. And she gave me the book. I don't know if you've heard of it, but The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And she said, why don't you just take off, end this internship, head to this island, Koh Phangan, and start over. And so at 22 years old, I thought, okay, I listened to her as any wise 22-year-old would do. And I read this book, and it's all about basically being in the now, being present, tapping into that meditative zone. And so I skipped off to this island, completely changed course of my life. And there I entered into my first yoga teacher training. And then from there, I entered into dozens of more trainings in Asia and India, in the United States. And it kind of catapulted me into this field of the healing arts. And from there, I became a meditation teacher. And then 5 years ago, also went into my journey into trauma therapy and all the somatic inquiry work.
That's really impressive. You had a very unique bio, so I'll let you share a little bit about that. How did you come into this field with the birth of your child and postpartum anxiety? I know that we've got several women in our group who have dealt with postpartum mental health issues, and it's just a topic that's not widely discussed. And even as a healthcare provider, I would say we lack sorely in how we manage that. We send women home with these new little humans that are completely reliant, and your hormones are a mess and you're not sleeping. And we talk extensively as to how important sleep is, and where you've gone from having like weekly support of your healthcare professional to, hey, we'll see you in 8 weeks. Call us if something's wrong. And then you got every mom and grandma saying, oh, it's just the baby blues. It's just the baby blues. And then you turn on the news and you hear of these horrible experiences. And so tell us a little more about how you came to this work and how those emotions and feelings brought you into healing others.
Yeah. And so I had been a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher for quite some time when I got pregnant 6 years ago now. And I had also experienced kind of every healing modality you can think of. You name it, I did it. And so I felt pretty well equipped for going into motherhood. And essentially what happened is I had a very traumatic birth with my daughter. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I was hoping for a home birth. I actually wanted to do a home birth with my daughter. And from the very first contraction, I knew something was wrong. And she ended up being in not a good position. And my midwives were actually pretty neglectful, and everything snowballed. And before I knew it, it was like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And I found myself at the hospital. The doctor was not a great doctor. His first words to me when I come in, and I'm already shaken up because this wasn't my birth plan. And the first word that's to me when I come in he walks in the door, not even introducing himself. And he goes, "So I've done this 300 times. How many times have you done it?" And I was like, and so everything goes wrong in the birth. And then, I have this beautiful newborn baby girl, and I thought I was fine. I thought that when I got home from the hospital, I thought, okay, I'm fine. Now I'm a new mom. Here's my baby girl. Life is amazing. But the trauma of the birth was so much more impactful than what I cognitively could recognize at the time. And I started to get a lot of anxiety symptoms. I developed insomnia. And it really kind of was like a rug pull out from under me. And in the way of, I felt like, wait a minute, I've been leading yoga retreats and teaching meditation for how many years? And how am I not able to heal this? How am I not kicking this right now? And so I started to study trauma. I started to just do these researches online of trauma, and it started pulling me into this funnel of nervous system science and what is actually happening with the nervous system when you experience trauma or chronic stress or acute stress, what the nervous system is. And I kind of just did a deep dive, and I discovered the work of Peter Levine, Gabor Mate, Bessel van der Kolk. For people who don't know, like Bessel van der Kolk, he wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score, which is kind of a Bible to a lot of us somatic practitioners, where he explains that when you don't address a chronic stress or traumas, and they can be little traumas or big traumas, it doesn't just go away. Time doesn't heal it, but your body is keeping the score. Your body is holding it. And so I went really deep with these pioneers in nervous system science and trauma therapy. And then at the beginning of the lockdown, at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided I was going to start training in this work. And I realized that this was the missing piece to my healing offering. I realized this nervous system piece was like, this was it. This was like that missing key for me to really be able to help women heal at the root.
Amazing. Amazing. So what exactly is nervous system regulation, and how does that play a role when we've had traumatic experiences, and we've come to find and discuss regularly, we don't always recognize that we've had trauma. Trauma does not always look like something, and my ladies are going to be tired of me hearing me say that. Trauma does not always look like domestic violence, a rape, a traumatic birth experience, a car accident. It can be something as simple as you went to the dentist and you were nervous and they didn't care and treated you without concern, that you expressed a concern to a physician and they dismissed you, as most of us have. And now you have healthcare trauma, or just even communication issues between you and your parents, where you're afraid to call your parents and ask for help or tell them something because of communication issues. So how does nervous system regulation, and does the nervous system come into play in this?
Nervous system regulation is essentially our nervous system's ability to handle stress, to put it very simply. So when we're developing in utero, we actually will inherit the nervous systems that our parents had. So already, if there was dysregulation in the nervous system from your parents, you're already going to be onboarded with a nervous system that's not necessarily equipped to handle stress really well. And so it doesn't need to be that like a major trauma happens and that dysregulates your nervous system. It can be a lot of chronic stresses that have compounded on each other. And over time, this dysregulates their nervous system. And so, for example, if a child has neglectful parents, and so we're starting to understand that a lot of nervous system regulation is very tied into attachment wounds and how well attached were we to our caregivers when we were infants, children growing up. And so if there was some sort of neglect or there was some sort of chronic stress, your nervous system is going to go into a response. It's going to go into a threat response because your outside environment is stressful. And if your nervous system isn't able to then equalize and bring itself back to a place of equilibrium, you start to become chronically in a state of alert. And then all sorts of physiological symptoms can start arising because of that. Because when you're in alert, your body is also going to start to release stress hormone.
Yep. That's our foundation is when your body's always turned on. That's where we start our problems. So it's all connected. And we go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what I'm doing in my work is essentially helping women to learn how to regulate their nervous system. And so in order to do that, and this is a very deep, deep topic I could go into for a while, but to keep it concise, it's essentially how do we restore this experience of safety to the nervous system? Because if we've experienced a lot of stress or we've experienced any sort of trauma, and it can be, so trauma essentially is not defined as some big tea of salt that happens to you. It can be any experience that you have in your life of which your nervous system becomes overwhelmed. Your nervous system cannot regulate back to a place of safety, and it goes into overdrive and it's overwhelmed. That's considered a trauma that your nervous system experiences. And so if you are experiencing a lot of chronic stress and you're not able to regulate yourself, or your nervous system is not regulating itself, what we want to do is bring some tools on board and some resources on board so that your nervous system starts to come back into a place of safety. And from there, we can also slowly start to feel different sensations and experiences within the body and maybe go into where this started in our past, how our nervous system got dysregulated in the first place. Uh-huh. And we start to peel the onion and start to release the stored stress that's there.
Great. And so this comes from a trauma-informed perspective. Again, another term that you hear a lot of times in women's health, especially. Why would you say trauma-informed practitioners are critical in healing arts? And when we begin to peel back that onion, why do we need to do that in a trauma-informed perspective?
I'd even say not even just in healing arts, but even in healthcare, the importance of being trauma-informed, because this is relatively new, the nervous system science and all of the new discoveries we know about the nervous system, about trauma. For example, if a doctor is going in to give a checkup to someone and that doctor isn't trauma aware, they could, they're just going to go through their regular operations of giving somebody this treatment or this checkup. Then they have no idea that this person had a traumatic experience at a hospital a few years prior or as a childhood, and that this person's carrying this trauma. And then without being informed about it, that doctor can actually re-traumatize the patient again because they're not sensitively minded to what this person maybe has experienced in their life. Or if a psychologist is working with a patient and they don't have trauma-informed training in their background, and they're approaching it from strictly like a mind down approach. So they're only approaching it from that person's thoughts. Change the way you're thinking, and this will change everything. They're not recognizing that the stress started in the body. The stress starts with your nervous system, and then your brain develops thoughts around that stress in response to that stress. And then those turn into patterns, and those turn into behaviors, and that turns into personality. And so when practitioners can be trauma informed, when they have that awareness, they can really start to approach their care from a more holistic lens.
Awesome. And we talk a lot, as I said, holistic health and wellness for women. It's a starting point. It's a place for women to start exploring how they might communicate with their own body and learn to listen to their own body. I always tell everyone, we learn when we're 4 years old to ignore our body. When we have to go potty and someone tells us, you just wait. You don't have to go to the bathroom. Just wait. We learn at a very young age that we don't need to listen to our bodies because someone else outside of us probably knows better than we do. So how in your field can women start to develop a deeper relationship with their bodies where they can begin to hear what their body is saying it needs and be able to deliver that message back to your body?
I would say start small, because some women who are very brand new to this work, we want to go very slow and let the body lead. So I'd say start small with simply, that's a great example. If you have to go pee, go pee. Listen to your body. Let your body express itself in the way that it needs to express itself. Don't suppress any bodily functions that need to happen. And from there, I'd also say, allow yourself to feel. So what I tell all my clients is we feel to heal. We need to feel to heal. We need to feel the emotion. We need to actually feel the discomfort. And so you could start small, but if you have a big emotion come up, if you have a pain, even just a physical pain in your body, allow your body the opportunity to speak. So even just getting quiet for a moment, stop scrolling, stop doing what you're doing, sit still for a moment, and just bring your attention to that sensation you're feeling. And just allow yourself to feel it. Even if just for a few moments, until maybe it might feel overwhelming for you to feel if you've never allowed yourself to do that before. So even if just for a few moments, tune in, even bringing your hands on your body and allow yourself to experience what it's experiencing.
I think it's so important. We so often just ignore and fill that space in with something else. I think sometimes when things are tough, I use the phrase, especially with my kids, the only way out of this is through it. And sometimes that's the best way, because if you go around it or under it or over it, you're never really addressing what the issue is. You're just burying it for it to come back later. You're ignoring it so you don't have to figure it out right now. But if you figure it out, if you experience it, if you go through it, chances are it's not going to rebound and you're not going to experience it the same way again. You're going to learn how to cope with that. You're going to develop coping mechanisms. And sometimes that means getting a professional who can guide through traumatic experiences, which is exactly why I bring women like you into my group. Because one of the first things I say is exploring our health and our wellness is not just eating an orange or drinking more water. It's really understanding where our bodies have been and where they're going. And sometimes we get up to a point of something that hurts and we know it hurts. And even one of my first exercises is we go through the timeline of our life. And I'm like, I know on your timeline, there is a box on that timeline that says 1997. And 1997 is a great big yellow highlighter, red pen, bright, don't touch this. Don't go there. You have to. If that year is in neon lights, there's a reason that you've got to experience it. But getting someone who can actually help you get right up against that pain and start to process it and understand it and work through it instead of pretending it didn't exist, no matter what that trauma or pain was, is very beneficial. And so here in this group, I like to present options. For some women, it's exploring through somatic therapy. For others, it's exploring through counseling. For others, it's art therapy. whatever resonates with you as you're listening to these talks and you feel like, wow, she just said exactly what I needed to hear to get through that traumatic loss of my grandma or that sexual assault or the loss of someone I love. Having someone who can help you work through that instead of you trying to navigate those painful, traumatic moments of your life is so important. That way you can get through it and it can become integrated into your body, but it does not have to affect your mind and body and spirit for the rest of your life the way it has up to this point. I have appreciated this introduction. Danielle is going to be coming into the Unlock group, into the Unlock participant community and continuing our chat. And more than that, she's going to be presenting a seminar for the ladies of Unlock that will live in the Unlock group forever. So if you decide, hey, I really like what she has to say, I'd like a little more, tell us what else you would like to add and where people can contact you. And you guys can always jump into Unlock and take advantage of the seminar she's about to present for us.
I just want to also add, not only, I would argue it's critical in this day and age for women to heal at the root. I mean, we see, the exorbitant rise in anxiety and depression and chronic illness. But even more than that, it gives you a greater sense of yourself. When you're doing this work, you connect with yourself. You connect with yourself that's behind all those traumas. That was always there, this perfect, pure beingness that you are, of which all of these experiences arose from. And so when you start to peel these layers and when you start to regulate your nervous system and when you start to feel and develop a greater relationship with your body, you're not triggered as much. Stress doesn't feel overwhelming. You'll still experience stress, but it's not something that you can't handle anymore. You feel more empowered in your life. You can walk through your day-to-day life with more ease. Your relationships start improving. Your vision for your life, your role as mother, your role as a career woman. It's a ripple effect through everything because your whole operating system is getting like an update. You're going into the 2.0 version of yourself. So there's a lot of benefits in doing the work.
I love that. You just envision like all the lights going on, like upgrading. Sweet.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great way to look at it. And it's possible for everybody. It doesn't happen overnight. Like Danielle said, you take teeny tiny small baby steps. You dip your toe in the water of discomfort and you learn how to cope with that discomfort. And then you go to your ankle in discomfort and learn how to cope with that. And eventually you'll be able to dive into that discomfort and you'll have the tools and the mindset necessary to integrate that and to move forward. And so it's so important for us to find the things that resonate with us so that we can just really take back control of our lives and our overall health and our wellness and our mental health and our spirituality. And it all just really goes together. So Danielle, where can they find you on social media? If they want to meet up with you and have an appointment, where can they find you?
The main way where they can find me is through my Instagram. And my Instagram is at I am Danielle Rubio. And ladies can send me DMs there. I can set up intro calls, clarity calls with ladies who want to take the work deeper. And I offer one-to-one sessions.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I am Danielle Rubio on Instagram is the best place to find her. She is starting a month-long program, Chaos to Calm, on the first day of spring, March 21st of 2023. She is offering a deal for participants. So when you reach out to her on Instagram, just let her know that you are with Unlock and she will let you know what special she has at that time. Danielle, I thank you so much for chatting with these ladies. I'm sure they're going to really enjoy this video for much time to come. And I will chat with you soon in the Unlock group.
Yeah. See you then. Thank you so much.
Right. You are welcome.